Welcome to this edition of the Western Canada Fishing Development Partnership. In this edition, we're going to cover both positioning and sightlines. Earlier in the series, we talked about the importance of skating. Skating is important because it leads us to how we position ourselves. Everyone has a different skill set when it comes to skating, and what you have to learn is how to maximize that skill set through reading and reacting to the plays so that we can obtain the ultimate goal, and that is creating great sightlines to see the plays. Let's start with the positioning aspect and hear from some of our partners.
Quality positioning to me is the way you put yourself in a position to have the best sightline to see the play correctly, because I think no matter where you are on the ice or in the building, you'll be able to see the play, but to actually see it in its truest sense in a way, if you can't get yourself there on time, you're not going to be able to see the play correctly. You won't be able to put yourself in that kind of position. Something that we're told a lot is, as linesmen, is to almost set up your camera in a way. So if you can get to that blue line, be stopped, set up your kind of plane of view like it's a camera, and then see that play happen, you're going to have a way better view on it than if you're still in motion or if you're even behind the play. So
being able to put yourself in the right position to see the play and make the penalty calls or the close calls at the net, being able to control the game is important. You know, sometimes you don't have to be the fastest skater or the most fluid skater, but if you can put yourself in those positions so that you're working efficiently around the ice, I think that's more important than being the fastest out there.
If you're not in the right position, you're not going to see things. If you're staring at someone's back rather than in front of them, you might not see something happen right in front of them. Just being able to move yourself in the right spot and fight around players, the nets, the posts, the glass, etc. Just being able to make sure you at least have the best sightline. Might not be the greatest one at that moment in time, but the best available one to you.
Every position you take or every sightline you get, angles are so important. If you're parallel to a play, you're not going to have the best judgment. But if you have an angle on it and you're going similar speed to the players, things will slow down. You'll have perspective on what has happened or hasn't happened. I know myself when I self-evaluate, if there's something that maybe I judged incorrectly or I missed, the first thing I look at when I self-evaluate is where was I and how can I get a better sightline to make a better judgment. In officiating, we can't necessarily teach you as well that this is a penalty and this isn't a penalty, but we can put you in the best position to be successful. And positioning, that fundamental is there for a reason, and that's to get you in the best possible sightline that we know, and then I believe you adapt from there to your skill set to get in the best position and sightline to make a proper judgment.
In our end zone positioning, remember the purpose of it is we're creating angles so that we can see the play, that we can stay out of traffic. So there's always going to be a little movement to us, whether it's up and back, whether it's to the boards, to the end boards, but always to create space, always moving a little bit, and always working to make sure we've created the angles to see the play. And every referee is going to be a little different in how they approach this. Some are going to move more, some might be a little bit lower or less, but the key is to create angles, to see the play, to stay out of traffic. And referee zone entry in the 4-referee system is really important that we come with speed, we come with pace, and again, it's so we're ahead of the play and that we've created an angle so that we can look up into the play. We're not chasing the play, we're not flat to the play, but we were ahead of the play and created an angle and kept our feet moving. And the back referees make sure that we come up with pace, we keep a good gap, and then we get ourselves deep enough that we can help and see the play. So this referee, good job, gets up towards the blue line, ebb and flow a little bit to create angles and sight lines, but always have a little bit of movement to find your sight lines. The low referee in the end zone, again, we're moving a little bit, we're creating space, play to go by us. We're gonna follow it up a little bit, but we're just gonna keep a good gap and an angle, and then we back in the zone again to create the space, to create angles, to see the play. Comes toward us, we move along the boards. Just an ebb and flow of moving to make sure we're not caught in traffic and we're seeing the plays. And this example shows linesman on the blue line, back linesman. We're in good position, we're ready to move. Whistle goes and we come in again with pace and go to good spots. Our linesman, low one dropping the puck. does an excellent job exiting the zone with pace, release line. Back linesman releases and moves down towards their line. Linesman positioning at the blue line. Certainly the key is to get a little inside to get a good look across the line. Sometimes we might have to move north like we did there to give the players room to go by and create a sight line from just outside. Both good sight lines, both based on reading the play and going to a good place. So you allow the players to go by and yet still have a good sight line. And linesman, back linesman movement between the blue lines. Becomes a front linesman, goes backwards, keeps everybody in front of him, can see the play, gets to the blue line in good time to make a good decision, and again has everybody in front of him, can see the play. And just a full demonstration of a full shot of an arena and how the officials move. Referee comes down, play comes towards us, the front referee is backwards, has a good gap. The back referees come up ice with some good pace to create some sight lines and help where they need to, and then we transition back. Same with the linesman. Linesman does a good job at the blue line, play transitions back out. Again, we move back towards the blue line, going backwards, keeping players in front of us. So just a really nice ebb and flow of how we move, how we create sight lines, and how we work as a team.
So now that we've heard about positioning, how skating, reading, and reacting are all part of the equation, we can now focus on sight lines. So we got ourselves into a good spot and created good sight lines. It is now important to understand where we need to look using those good sight lines so we can see the plays and then use our judgment to make good decisions, whether they are calls or non-calls, offsides or icings. Let's go back to our partners and hear some of their thoughts.
If you want to have good sight lines, you got to be a good skater, you got to be in good position, but you also have to know where to be on the ice. So that's, being a good student of the game, watching the game, critiquing yourself, watching your own games, if you need to work on your positioning in the end zone. But sight lines is so key, because if you don't have good sight lines, you're not calling good penalties.
Maybe from my angle, it didn't look like a hook. Maybe I wasn't able to see the grab of the jersey. And I want to be able to ask my partner, didn't that look like a little bit of a hook or a hold? And this game's all about angles. Therefore, it's all about sight lines. Being able to skate and to be able to get to your sight lines, really at the end of the day, will separate the good officials from the great officials.
If you can't establish sight lines, it's going to be really hard to make calls, and you're going to have to guess. If you can't see something perfectly clear, then you're guessing, and guessing, from my experience, doesn't work well for anyone.
Well, sightlines are everything in our sport, especially because it moves so fast. And by being in a good position on the ice to see the play where it may develop, or you see where the play is going to go, it gives the official the best chance to witness what is happening on the ice. But it's something that can be worked on all the time, trying to get to proper position for viewing the play, and then judgment takes over. If they're in a good position, have good sight lines, then with good judgment, they make good decisions.
Now that we've covered skating and how it will enhance our skills, positioning and how skating can help us get good sight lines and the importance of looking in the right spots, the next step is to work on achieving these sight lines every shift of every game. Since we never know what the game will give us, we must constantly be prepared to make a judgment on every shift of every game. Hard work, hustle, reading and reacting will get us to those good sight lines. Until we see you in the next video, have great games and enjoy your teammates.